What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season two, episode 20, Memorial Meltdown. So we're still at Zion. We're starting off where we left off, which was where Lisa had stormed upstairs. She's in her room, door closed, but her mic is still on, and you just hear her ranting and raving about Meredith, saying that Meredith is the biggest whore. She has slept with half of New York. So then Jenny comes up to check on Lisa. At first, Lisa is not trying to talk to anybody because she's just so wound up and she's like on 100. And I think Jenny kept on trying to talk to her or trying to ask her if she could come in. Eventually, she lets her come in. Lisa accuses Jenny of not having her back. And Jenny says that she did have her back. So then they do a flashback of the dinner where Jenny supposedly had Lisa's back. And that is when Jenny had said she was defending Lisa's right to eat Taco Bell. I guess that was her having her back. Heather and Jen come up to Lisa's room now. So Lisa is still like just ranting and raving. And Lisa says, I'm richer than all of you. I don't need to be here. And so she bulldozes past the women. Whitney appears out of nowhere and she's trying to calm Lisa down. She keeps telling everybody, let me just talk to Lisa. Let me just talk to Lisa alone. Lisa's not trying to have any of that because she's like, so she had 6 pots of coffee. She's just that crazy. And Whitney tells Lisa after she left that she did confront Mary and Meredith because Lisa's whole thing was, I say the things that everyone else is too scared to say. And when I say them, no one is there to stand by me. And Whitney was trying to tell her, I did that too, but you had already left when I did that. I did confront Meredith and Mary. She confronted Mary, she confronted Meredith, by asking Meredith directly, when was this memorial? What date was the memorial? Because you're giving us conflicting information. As we all remember, Meredith got upset and she ended up leaving the table. So all the girls are busy talking about Meredith and Mary and how, crazy they are. And all this time, this tornado is going on upstairs. Meredith and Mary are downstairs in the kitchen, sitting really quietly, like the most 2 innocent little church girls ever, not involved in the drama or any of that. They're just sitting there quietly in the kitchen. So then Whitney comes downstairs to confront Meredith, and I think Mary as well, but we know how it is. As soon as Whitney shows up, Mary was out. So Whitney says there was some speculation. I didn't mean any disrespect. So she's starting to apologize to Meredith. And as soon as she opens her mouth, Mary says, I'm out. I'm not doing this. So she quickly exits, but she really doesn't leave. She just kind of lingers in the background a little bit. So Meredith says that, Whitney, you were very disrespectful. What if I had told you that I didn't believe you when I don't know what exactly she said about Whitney's father? I didn't think that you could compare the things that they were accusing Meredith of doing with anything that's going on with Whitney and her dad. But Meredith was like, well, what if I said to you that I didn't believe you, that I don't believe that you haven't talked to your father? Because it seems like, because I didn't watch all of season 1, so I don't really know how everything ended between Whitney and her dad. But supposedly Whitney doesn't know where her dad is and doesn't really talk to her dad. Like her dad has gone, he's an addict, and so he's gone MIA. So Meredith was like, well, what if I told you that I did not believe you, that you haven't talked to your dad? And in her confessional, Whitney was like, that was a really low blow. Because I didn't watch all of season 1, I really didn't understand the connection there. So Meredith says, if you were a real friend, you would have just shut it down. You would have just shut down all those speculations if you're really my friend, instead of feeding into them or questioning me. You would have just shut it down and you would have been like, it's disgusting that you people are even saying this about Meredith. Meredith would not lie about her father's memorial. Where is this coming from? But instead, Whitney was kind of like, maybe they have a point. So Whitney says, well, what did you want me to do? Did you want me to hire a private investigator to find out? Kind of giving Meredith a taste of her own medicine. So Meredith literally shouts in Whitney's face, my father died. What doesn't effing add up about that? And I'm like, okay, but Meredith, they're not talking about when your father died. They're talking about when did the memorial happen? Because according to Lisa and Heather and Jenny and Whitney, you were giving conflicting dates of when you attended the memorial. So Whitney goes back upstairs. She reports to the rest of the ladies that are waiting up there what happened downstairs with Meredith and Mary. And then Mary is downstairs again. Like, as we've seen, Mary did not actually leave the kitchen. She was just sort of like hanging out in the shadows, which I don't understand. If you didn't want to talk to Mary, I mean, if you didn't want to talk to Whitney, and you didn't want nothing to do with this, why did you stay? Why didn't you just go back up to your room? But, she was nosy and she wanted to see what was going on. So when Whitney went back upstairs, Mary came back into the kitchen and sat down next to Meredith, and she was trying to console Meredith and tell her that she didn't need any of this. And then Mary tells Meredith, I wish I could fix this for you. And Meredith says, you know what? I'm going to fix it. So she storms upstairs back into the room where all the other ladies are at. And while Whitney was peeing, and this was like a really disgusting scene, because Heather was telling Whitney, your urine smells like you need to drink more water. I was like, oh my God, how utterly embarrassing is that? So Meredith storms back upstairs. She waits until Whitney's done peeing. And then when Whitney comes out, Meredith says to her, so you need to tell me, I would like to know who is speculating about my father's death. And Whitney says, everyone. And then Meredith says, I need names. And then the first name out of Whitney's mouth is Lisa. When Lisa hears her name, she comes, storming in out of who knows where. And she was like, I never speculated about your father's death. It wasn't me. Don't lie on me. I didn't speculate about your father's death. And Meredith tries to make it about, she keeps talking about the death. And Whitney is trying to tell her, it's not about your father dying. It's not about you having the right to mourn your father's death. It's about the date of the memorial and when it happened. Heather, in her confessional, says that she thought it was just a big miscommunication, but seeing how Meredith reacted, it kind of made Meredith look like a liar. That's what Heather said in her confessional. So then Whitney says, so I don't know what, all of a sudden, I don't know who mentioned Mary's name, but Whitney was like, where's Mary? Where's Mary Cosby for Meredith? So she goes back downstairs to confront Mary. And so she starts she's like yelling at Mary, why aren't you there for your friend Meredith when she needs you? Why aren't you up there with Meredith? And Mary was like, don't come in here bothering me. She says, I'm not up there because I don't want to be. I don't want to be up there. I don't want to be involved with this. So bye. And then Whitney goes, no, hi, I'm here now. Hello, I'm here. And she's like, why aren't you up there with Meredith? And, Mary was like, I don't want to be bothered with this. I'm done with you. I'm done with your cousin. And then Mary, in her confessional, she says that she wasn't going to have an argument with someone who was drunk. And then they show flashbacks of Whitney just, tearing him up throughout the night. Lisa says to Mary, because she had come downstairs too, she says to Mary, well, why are you even here? If you don't care about what's going on and you don't care about any of us, why are you even here? And Mary goes, because this is my last. And then she kind of stumbles and says, my last attempt. Attempt at what? You don't want to be involved in anything. What are you attempting? When she started off saying, this is my last, and then she kind of stopped herself and then said the word attempt, I thought she was going to say, this is my last trip with y'all, because, there's these rumors, which I think have been confirmed now, that Mary Cosby will not be coming back to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And so I thought she was going to, she was going to accidentally let it slip that either this was going to be her last trip or this was going to be her last season or something like that. But she caught herself and said, this is her last attempt. Attempt at what? I don't know, because she's never involved in anything. The next morning, so they're all packing up, getting ready to leave. There's a scene at breakfast at this long dinner table. There's a scene with Mary on one side, Meredith at the other side, and Jenny Jenny Wynn way at the end of the table, about a mile and a half down, and no one's talking and they're just eating. And it was like a really weird and awkward scene because no one was talking. Mary said, I just want to see your pretty smile. And I thought she was talking to Jenny. I don't know why I thought she was talking to Jenny, but I thought she was talking to Jenny, which was actually talking to Meredith. So she was telling Meredith, I just want to see your pretty smile. And then she tells Meredith, you look too pretty to ride in that Splinter. And then Meredith says, no, I'm going to ride in the Splinter with the other girls. And it seemed like Mary really wanted to separate Meredith from the other girls because she didn't want, it seemed like to me, she didn't say it, but I kind of was like speculating that Mary did not want Meredith to ride in the van with the other girls because maybe she was afraid that the other girls might turn Meredith against her, or she was afraid that the other girls, that Meredith might somehow, they might all reconcile again and be friends again, and then Mary would be the odd one out. But I got that feeling that she really did not want Meredith to go with the other women. She wanted Meredith to come with her, probably in a private jet or something. But Meredith was like, no, I'm going to ride with the other girls. And in her confessional, she was like, every time that they're in that van and I'm not there, stuff is always being said about me. So I'm going to make sure that this time I'm going to be a part of the conversation. So Lisa and Heather, they're upstairs getting ready to leave, packing up, and they're talking about Meredith and Mary and how there's just like their connection is just so weird, which I totally agree. I really think it's odd that there's this strong bond between Mary and Meredith. And I'm trying to pinpoint exactly where did this all begin and what is keeping them together. And the only thing that I can think of is that they both have a mutual hatred for Jen Shaw. I can't think of anything else of why these women who seem like would not be that good of friends are as close as friends as they are. So then Heather says, well, we've given Mary a lot of passes and we really haven't held her to the fire. And she's the one that's really openly and aggressively cruel. And I was shocked to hear Heather say this about Mary, because Heather is always the one that's trying to be the peacemaker. She's like the diplomat of the group. But then when she said that Mary was openly and aggressively cruel, I was like, wow, Heather, where did that come from? I mean, definitely Mary is rude. She's openly rude. She's openly dismissive. But to say that she's cruel and aggressive, I don't think she's that. I mean, what has she done that was so cruel? She lies like everybody else on the show lies. How has she been aggressive? Because she's always running away. She doesn't like any kind of confrontation. When you give it to her, when you corner her, she'll give it back to you. But as soon as she senses that she's going to be attacked or she's going to be questioned, she runs and hides. Like, how is she openly aggressive and cruel? So all the girls decide to leave, and they're all going to go in one van except for Mary Cosby. She's going to do her own thing. 3 days later, after the trip, Heather has a college reveal party for her daughter. And I was like, oh, that's what they're doing now? College reveal parties? Really? Because, I mean, I remember people having regular baby showers, and then gender reveals became really popular. And then people started recording themselves reading acceptance letters from colleges. That became a thing. I think it still is, where people have the camera going while they're opening up their emails to see if they've been accepted to whatever college. Now we're having college reveal parties, where it's a party that's going to reveal to close family and friends what college the person decided to go to. Why is that? Like, why do we have to have a party for that? Is it just an excuse or a reason to give presents and to give money? You know, we can just do that as soon as we find out that you got accepted into a college. Why are we having a college reveal party? That was kind of strange to me. So anyways, moving on. So Jen meets with her attorney and they're discussing her case. And Jen really wants to talk about Stuart. I kind of felt like her attorney was trying to steer her away from talking about Stuart, but Jen really wanted to talk about Stuart. So she was asking her attorney, they're not like going against us or anything. We're not working against them. And, and then she was like, I really want to talk to him. And her attorney was like, well, he has an attorney. So I can only speak with his attorney. And she was like, well, if we're on the same side, why can't we just talk to them? And her attorney was like, well, we can. And I have been in communication with his attorney. Right now, we are not, on opposing sides. We are still working together. He was choosing his words very, very carefully because I guess he's seen the writing on the wall of what direction Stewart and his attorney might be going, and it's not going to be in the same direction as Jen. So her attorney was like, well, I have been in communication with his attorney, and right now we are not on opposing sides. But if they do offer him a plea deal, he may testify against you. And why wouldn't he? Why would he go down for Jen Shaw? Yeah, if they offer him a plea deal, he's going to sing like a canary. So most likely, oh, and also they were talking about going to trial, and her attorney have basically decided that the only way to avoid any kind of, I guess, imprisonment is that they're going to have to go to trial. They can't accept any plea deals. They're going to have to go to trial. Lisa is cooking with her family, and no Taco Bell tonight, y'all. She's cooking a real meal. And what I thought was so crazy was when she said she wants to learn how to make eggs. And I'm like, what? I mean, did she grow up that privileged that she never had to crack an egg? Moving on to Mary. So Mary's having service at her church. And she's up there, on the pulpit doing her thing. And Jen Shaw walks into the church. And Jen tells us that she had sent out a Happy Mother's Day text to all the women. And Mary had responded directly back to her and had invited her to her church. So Jen Shaw shows up, and she was like, instead of believing all the rumors about her and her church, about, it being a cult and she's being this godlike figure for her congregation, I'm going to go and see with my own eyeballs what's really going on. And she's like, I know what it feels like to have people speculate about you and spread rumors about you. And I don't want to be like that with her. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. So that's why she decided to go to her church. And y'all, it was the strangest thing. Like I have said before, she doesn't have that many people in her congregation. How is she affording this lifestyle? How is she affording all of this? I mean, she's got so much stuff. Her bedroom looks like an overstocked consignment store. She's got so much stuff. And then she's got so much stuff that she's giving name brand things away to her friends. Because she just has red bottoms and designer bags. She's just giving stuff away because she has so much stuff. How does she afford this lifestyle if she's got like 3 people in her congregation? So on this particular Sunday, she's up there doing her thing. And then at some point, it becomes a Let's Praise Mary event. Some woman goes up to the pulpit and gives a speech. And the speech is all about how wonderful Mary is, how Mary is her best friend, how Mary has done so much for her. And then there's more people that get up and they testify about how wonderful Mary is. And they're literally like crying, just like in awe of Mary. And it's like, okay, is this about Mary or is this about God? Because they were giving so much praise to Mary. It was like, did they forget that God even existed? Or is Mary like a god to them? Moving on. Meredith. Meredith in her confessional says that she's owed an apology from the women for everyone belittling her father's death. Once again, Meredith, no one was belittling your father's death. They were questioning the dates of the memorial. Heather and Whitney come over, and she's got some kind of electroshock whatever it was for them. Like, you hook up these electrodes to you, and you turn them on, and they're supposed to, like, I don't know, zap away the fat or something. So they're talking, and Meredith begins by apologizing. And she apologizes to them. She was like, I really am sorry of how I acted when we were in Zion. But, your delivery to me, Whitney, it was a little bit strong and I felt attacked. And so that's why I was so defensive. And so they tell her, look, we were just trying to give you an opportunity to clear up some of the speculation about your dad's memorial. And so Meredith says, okay, the date of my father's memorial was on the 29th, which was a Monday, which was the day before they were all in the van together, which was the day before Jen got arrested. So when she said that the memorial happened on the 29th, Heather in her confessional was like, okay, yeah, that makes total sense because that's what she had told me, that the memorial was on the 29th, which was a Monday. So why would Lisa say that it happened on a Tuesday, which was the day that Jen got arrested and the day that they all left for Vail? Now, what I do remember clearly is that that Meredith was not going to be riding with them. She wanted to arrive in Vail early so that she can get the house set up and, get the house ready for the girls. So she was already in Vail when Lisa had called her to tell her about Jen getting arrested. But when Lisa had called her to tell her about Jen getting arrested. So they show the flashback scene of Lisa on the phone in the van talking to Meredith about Jen getting arrested. And then Lisa said, well, I know you really want to be with family right now, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And so she hangs up. The only thing Meredith said to that was, okay, thank you. So they hang up, and then someone asked Lisa something about how's Meredith doing or something like that. And Lisa said, oh, she's with her family at her father's memorial. So it was Lisa all along who started this whole entire confusion about Meredith possibly lying about her dad's memorial. She told them she's at her father's memorial. That's not what Meredith told you. Meredith didn't even tell you where she was at. You just assumed that she was with her dad at her dad's memorial. So Lisa's the one that started all of this. And it was on Monday. The memorial happened on Monday, not on Tuesday. So that was all cleared up. It seems like it was all cleared up. I hope it was all cleared up because it's getting kind of old now. So, it's typical Lisa twisting the facts. And I can't really come up with any examples, but this has happened before where Lisa has misconstrued things that were said to her either on purpose or by mistake. She kind of twists the facts around and then it starts this huge mess. I cannot wait for the reunion. I cannot wait for the reunion to see Lisa explain herself and hopefully take accountability for her involvement in this whole thing with Meredith lying about her dad's memorial and all this and that. Now, unfortunately, as we all know, Miss Mary Cosby will not be a part of the memorial. I mean, not the memorial. She won't be a part of the reunion, which is really sad. But even if she was, she's not going to say anything that she doesn't want to say. She's only going to talk about what she wants to talk about. She's only going to answer the questions she wants to answer. But her church, that tiny, small, almost non-existent congregation, how does she afford this lifestyle? How does she do it? How does she do it? I don't get it. I don't know, unless her husband has another source of income or Mary has another source of income. But if they're relying on just the church, there's something really funny going on up there in Salt Lake City. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me for this really, I'm hoping, quick review. I don't know. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.